welcome back to my channel. Today I have a very special guest with me. I've been looking forward to this for a little while now, and I'm so happy we were able to make it happen. With me, I have Saba, who is a content creator in wellness and fitness industry. She is documenting her fitness journey. She is advocating for mental health and candidly sharing her life with PCOS, which is a polycystic ovary syndrome, and it's a hormonal disorder that is very common among women of reproductive age. That's what I got, and I've heard a lot of people struggling with it. So it's very common. A lot of women live with it, but not a lot of people talk about it, sadly. So we thought it was great to connect on my YouTube channel, and we can talk my YouTube channel and my podcast and we can talk about what it's like, being an active woman living with PCOS and just going through life that way, and sharing your journey on social media, because that's a whole other layer on its own. So without further ado, let's dive right in. And I've honestly, before we dive right in, I actually wanted to say that I've been absolutely admiring your journey for the past year now. I really love how dedicated you are to your fitness. It really comes across, and it's very, very motivational and inspirational to so many women out there. So I just want to give you this disclaimer. Like, I've been loving what you do. I do admire your perseverance when it comes to, how you show up, and you're a go-getter, mashallah.
Girl, I try. Thank you so much. You're so sweet.
Fantastic. Well, I know you pretty well, I feel like, because I feel like you're my friend since I've been watching you for so long now. Can you just tell people about who you are and what you do?
Sure. So, hi everyone. My name is Saba. I go by Saba Fitness Beauty on my Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, all of my social platforms. So I work as an accountant, and in my day job, and apart from that, I share basically my fitness journey around PCOS, and I'm just documenting that journey, seeing how the progress I make, and seeing sort of like seeing my own potential as well, because weightlifting is something new that I've delved into. I've always been sort of active. I used to do a lot of martial arts when I was younger, but strength training or weightlifting, never. But yeah, that's what I do for now.
So how did you get into that, into weightlifting? How did you decide that was something you wanted to give a go?
Right. So it all started about, I think, a year ago now. And even before that, I was already sort of doing weightlifting, and it started from having knee pain. It's so weird, but I started because I've had PCOS for, I think, well over 10 years, because I had all the symptoms, but I was sort of dismissed. Anytime I used to go to my doctor, I used to just get told, oh no, are you married? No. Are you trying to have kids? No. Then it's fine, just go on birth control and you'll be fine. Sort of, it was very dismissive, because ever since the age of like 17, 18, I had all the symptoms, and it was very bad. But the weight gain didn't happen until, I think, about 3 years ago. And because of that, with that came the joint pain, because I'd never been big. All that added strain on my joints, it was really bad. Like, I think, how old was I? 25 or 24, I think 24. And at that age, you don't expect to sort of limp when you're walking. And it was bad. It was really bad. So then I started doing some research, and then I learned that, okay, you get joint pain because your muscles are not strong enough to support that joint. So the best way to do it is to sort of support your muscles. And I was like, okay, let me get into this and, see how it goes. And that was basically the start of my weightlifting journey. And this is before I even knew that I had PCOS. And knowing what I know now, it's like strength training is one of the best things you can do for your body if you do have, well, in general, for everyone, regardless of whether you're a man or a woman. Strength training is amazing, because it's just, it preserves your bone density as a woman, especially if you go through childbirth. You've got, mashallah, kids, so you know how that is. So I mean, as a woman, it's amazing as it is, but especially if you have PCOS, I think it's just got a lot of benefits for it. But yeah, that's how initially I got into it. Knee pain.
Wow, that's a great story. Thank you so much for sharing with me. let's dive into, you've mentioned some symptoms of PCOS. What are other symptoms
Mm.
for like women who are not aware?
Okay, so basically, to start off with, you would have very irregular periods. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I wouldn't have my menstrual cycle for 3 months. And knowing what I know now, that's not good for you because that means something in your body is not functioning correctly.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the number one telltale sign is literally irregular periods. Also, the second thing I had was a lot of acne. Even now, I sort of like, so if it's calmed down a lot now, but acne, really, really bad, like cystic acne all over
Mm.
your, face. That's another sign. Another symptom is hair growth. So I literally, yes, it's really, that's the thing. I think a lot of people don't talk about that side of it because it is a bit embarrassing, but it is what it is. I had a lot of
Oh,
hair
yeah,
growth on
all
my face.
natural, yeah.
Yeah, but literally the way mine was, it was like nearly like a beard. It was bad. Like every single day I was waxing my face and that would
Oh.
irritate my skin more and then I would get more acne. It was bad. It was a crazy cycle. I had to get a laser done eventually because it was just too much
Mm-hmm.
and it really kills your confidence, as a woman
Mm-hmm.
as well. Literally having so much hair. And the other side of it is hair loss. So I literally had bald patches on my head. That's another
Wow, yeah.
you lose a lot of hair. Like my hair would come out in clumps. And I mean, alhamdulillah for the hijab, nobody can see. But obviously, when I go home, when I take it
Oh,
off, I
yeah.
could see how thin my hair was getting. And what else? So, yeah, irregular periods. And, oh, weight gain. It's like drastic. I gained 20 kilos in like a year
Mm.
very quickly. And it's, yeah, so weight gain. Some people also experience, joint pain, which I did as well because
Mm-hmm.
of inflammation in your body and mental health gets impacted. So I had severe
Oh.
depression and anxiety. So these are just some of, not all of them, but, the main symptoms of PCOS.
Wow, that's a lot, and it's crazy because when I was looking into it as well, I know that a lot of women deal with it, and there's still not so much more, like not a lot of information out there. And like you said, you go to the doctor and you're being a little bit dismissed. It's kind of like, oh, it is
Yeah,
it is what it
I
is. Deal with it.
exactly, like I just got told, as I was gaining weight, because I could notice, I'm like, oh gosh, like I'm putting on weight because nothing was fitting anymore. And in
Mm-hmm.
my head, I'm like, I'm not doing much differently at this point. Like, what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
And every time I would go to the doctor, they'd just be like, oh, just lose weight, just lose weight. And I was like, my knee hurts. I can't walk properly. To lose
Mm-hmm.
weight, you need to get active. Like, what's wrong with me? Something is wrong with me. And I kept telling them, and they literally they were like, no, you just need to lose weight. You're just too fat. And then I did some research, and it's crazy how, in the UK and the US, 1 in 10 women have it. So
Yeah.
out of 10 women, at least one woman has it. And then 75% are undiagnosed. That's the
Wow.
craziest thing. Imagine 75% of women who have these symptoms, especially women of color. Um, in the UK, unfortunately, a lot of us are dismissed, because
Mm-hmm.
I believe you me, literally, I went to the doctor at 17. I got diagnosed at 26, 9 years later. 9 years later, they finally, yeah, decided to do the tests and
Wow.
everything. Yeah. And when they
How?
did the test, everything was abnormal.
Oh, wow. So you went for 9 years of your life dealing with the symptoms,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
you just you didn't
It
know,
just
and you
didn't.
were just like, and you didn't, because you didn't have the diagnosis, you didn't know what action you needed to take.
Oh yeah. I would if I knew before, I was so careless. And because over the years, it's like 9 years of having a chronic illness and not knowing that you have it. I didn't take any precautions. Like I was so bad with my diet and literally like, well, when you're young, I guess like I was just so careless, honestly. Like the way I am now, I never used to have breakfast. I used to go the whole day without eating, and even that messes up your hormones.
Yeah.
And the whole thing is this is all about your hormones, and it affects that. Even these little things. I never used to drink water, so. And then when I would eat, I would just eat junk. So when that happened, the weight started sort of like piling on more and more.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it didn't hit me until when, because mentally I was in a bad place as well. Like I was struggling and battling with really severe depression, and I just didn't know. Like obviously we all have traumas that we go through in our lives, and I did, but I just didn't know like why is this all like hitting me at once.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it was like my mental health was bad, and until I started getting stretch marks on my arms, that's how
Mm.
like and I'm not
Mm.
like obviously stretch beautiful, like, you know, on women, everything, I'm not putting that down, but as someone who's, because usually it's, you associate that with, you know, like moms who get pregnant, as
Mm-hmm.
they gain weight they would have I was getting stretch marks on my stomach, on my arms, and I think that's when it hit me, and I was like, oh my god. I weighed myself and I was at 93 kilos,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, okay, from 65 kg, I've,
Yeah.
you know, mostly been at 93 kg in like a year.
Yeah.
That's a huge jump. And that's, it's so crazy how in society or in life we're very like outward. Unfortunately, it's like it didn't hit me until my physical, until I started seeing it, but it's like the whole time my mental health was bad, but I just didn't put that together, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just waffling,
No, no, no. That's the,
but yeah.
there are a few points that you made that I want to dive deep into.
Yeah.
So the stretch marks and like the weight gain, that was your wake up call. That's when you
Mm.
started digging, or that's when you started to take action.
So that's when I started going to them, and still, I think for about a year, I was still dismissed, and they literally
Okay.
kept saying, "Lose weight, lose weight, lose weight." And then it came to a point where my depression just hit, because of course,
Mm-hmm.
when you're, unfortunately, when you're holding all that weight, you're not moving your body. Of course, it's gonna pile on, and your mental health is just gonna get worse.
Mm-hmm.
It came to the point I became very suicidal.
Mm-hmm.
I would stay in my room all day and just stay in bed. I wouldn't even get up. The whole, like, if I was off from work, I would stay in bed all day. I wouldn't even wash my
Mm-hmm.
face, um, and just stay in bed. My mom would come into the room and she would just look at me and like think, what the hell is wrong with my daughter? And then she
Mm-hmm.
sort of said, you know, why don't you go to therapy? Um, and at that point, I literally felt like my life is just gonna like, I felt like I'm better off being dead. And I just don't want to live anymore. That's how bad. And it wasn't like anything was going on, but it was just the way, like, I didn't feel good in my body. Didn't have any energy. I always felt tired, and literally, like, I could not even get myself to just get up and even wash my face or eat. And when I did eat, it would just be a pile of junk food right by my bed, just to come, because I was just, you know, eating my emotions away because I was in such a
Yeah.
bad mental state, you know. And I think that really, like, the weight gain was there as it is, but when I got to that state, like, mentally, where I'm like, I cannot physically even get up, and I'm only like 26 years old, like, this is
Mm-hmm.
not good. I'm not, you know, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
that old to be, it's, I'm too young to be feeling this way.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I, you know, went to my GP and I said, look, it's been so many years. GPs, like in the UK, you know, general practitioner
General
doctors, the one
practitioner.
you go to.
New Zealand is
Yeah.
same thing.
Yeah. Because sometimes I tell my American friends, like, what, what's a GP? But yeah, so I went to my GP and I was like, it was, thankfully, it was a lady as well this time. And
Mm-hmm.
she was very nice, because the thing is, you always get a different doctor when you book an appointment. It's just how the system is. But
Mm-hmm.
I said, literally, look, I was like, look, these are all my symptoms. And I literally took my hijab off and I
Mm-hmm.
showed her my head. I was like, look at this. And I was like, look at this, like all the hair growth. And I was like, look, this is not normal. And I was like, look at my weight. I've put this on in a span of 1 year. And I was like, my periods are irregular, because I was always like recording them, you
Yeah.
know, in my phone. And I was like, look at all these symptoms. I was like, look, if ever I understand, like, okay, I've put on weight, but it's very drastic. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, look, my mental health, I'm like, I'm struggling. Please. I literally was about on the verge of tears. I'm like, please help me. I've been coming here for 9 years telling you something's wrong with you, please. Like, and then it was so simple. Blood test and a scan, and that's it. Within like a week, I was diagnosed. That was all it took. But it's just,
Yeah.
it was so delayed.
Mm-hmm. Oh, like you've touched
Yeah.
on so many points there, like how, you know, your physical health really affected your mental health and it got really, really bad
Yeah.
for you. I would really love to know how you got out of that rut. Can you just like walk us step by step? Because I know there are so many women out there who struggle with depression, with like really negative thought patterns, just because like, and they don't know how to get out of it. Because
Yeah.
also, like, I've noticed that if you're deep enough in it, it's a lot harder to break that cycle and get out of it. So can you just share what worked for you?
So for me, first things first, like as I said, I was suicidal. But the only thing stopping me at that point was my faith, because I was like, if I do, and obviously I have got a single mom as well. So I was like, my
Mm-hmm.
mom raised me by herself her whole life,
Mm-hmm.
because my parents got divorced when I was really young. So it's just
Mm-hmm.
me and my mom. I was like, firstly, okay, my religion, because it's like it's prohibited to end your life. Secondly, and I had this thing in my head. I was like, how's my mom gonna? And this is very like morbid, but I'm just sharing my, what was going through my head.
It's very valuable, honestly.
I'm like shaking.
Yeah.
I had that image in my head of like my mom walking in on my dead body, and I was like, this woman has literally been through so much just to bring me, up, and I'm her only child as well. And I was like, that's it, her life's, what's going to happen to her? So those two things, my faith and my mom. And I was like, okay, well, it's a cycle, isn't it? Like you said, the deeper you are in it, the harder it is to get out. But I think you have to sort of have something that grounds you. So whether it's your, faith, whether it's your family or friends, something has to sort of like keep you grounded and keep you, even though like depression is suicidal thought, like, but by the time it gets to suicidal thoughts, it's, you're pretty much very deep in it. Like you're not thinking rationally, because when you get out of that, you're like, oh gosh, like why was I thinking like that? But because you're in that, mental state, you're not thinking, rationally. You just think, oh yeah, it's just better off that I'm just not alive. But the way I got out of that, just having, that thing that grounds you, your faith, your family. And then the second thing was, I was like, you know what? Firstly, life's too short. I think I came across a video of someone in Syria, and they were like, they literally had both legs amputated, and they were still thankful. Not to connotate depression with, I'm not trying to say someone, because I suffer with it still till this day, not to say like someone who's depressed is ungrateful, but this was like, I saw that and I was like, I've got my legs, I've got my hands, alhamdulillah, I've got everything. Like I've got my eyesight, I've got my hearing, I've got a roof over my head, I've got food to eat. Yes, things are hard, but then I thought to myself, if this person can still, like, they were eating and it was literally like, rubble. Their house was obviously, bombed, and they were still like thankful. And that just, when you see something and it just sort of like gives you a wake up call. And I was like, you know what, it's okay, like it's fine. Look, you're not going to end it, and you can't stay like this either. You have to get out, because every day was the same. It was really dark. And I think I literally started with, I was like, okay, let me just get up and let me just wash my it started with the basic things, like let me just wash my face on time. And it's about having routine as well. Try, if you suffer from depression, try it, because your body and your mind likes routine. You have to have a routine that you can follow. So I would say, like, start with baby steps, even if it's going outside for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes for a walk, or anything, even like jumping, whatever you can do from the comfort of your house, or anything that's accessible to you, do that. But literally, even if you get up and move your body, it releases those feel good, chemicals in your brain, and you sort of like feel a bit better. It's a long process, but I would say, have something that sort of like, have that grounding within you, and start small. Sometimes people think it's like either all or nothing. Either you're just going to be depressed, or you want to do everything. You can't jump from 0 to 100. It goes, 1, 2, 3, it goes step by step. And sometimes, like, I had that mindset where, oh, if I'm not doing something like all the time, what's the point? But now I'm at that mindset of just taking baby steps and appreciating yourself for the small wins and the small victories. But I think that's pretty much it. You have to be really easy on yourself too, because you are like, just imagine if you had a broken leg, you would take it easy, right? So it's the same. If you've got depression, you have to just be very kind to yourself and take it easy, and don't expect everything. Don't expect yourself to do 180 and change everything at once. It's a long process. I'm still working on it.
That's
till this
good.
day.
Thank you so much. This is so valuable, because I had women reach out to me in my DMs, because I do a lot of mindset and personal development type of content. I had women reach out to me and asking, what should we do? Like, I'm depressed, I am struggling, and I don't feel like I'm equipped enough, because I haven't gone through depression. I've gone through loss, I've gone through grief, which
Mm.
is, it's different, but I
Yeah.
haven't experienced the depression side of things. But I don't want to say the wrong thing. I don't want to give the wrong
Of
advice
course.
just
Yeah.
because I don't understand it from a personal perspective. Um, but like talking to someone like you who's been deep in it and then managed to come out, and just come out stronger, and learning to love life and just working
Mhm.
on yourself and on your mindset, and just it's
Yeah.
really inspirational, and I really appreciate you sharing your story because it's so
Thank you.
valuable, because you never
Mhm.
know who is watching. You never know who
Absolutely.
might benefit from this. And just like you said, sometimes you see a piece of content at the right time, in the right place, uh,
Yep.
and it changes everything. It's like a flip of the
Yep.
switch. Sometimes it's
It clicks.
what you need to see to start taking action. And like you
Yeah.
said, baby steps and small wins. Even with me, with my businesses before, I
Mm.
would have this mentality that it's either all or nothing, and that's that kind of
Mm.
advice I used to give. You commit, and it's all or nothing. And that's not healthy. That can be very,
Yeah.
very damaging. So right now I'll be like, okay, you do it, especially after becoming a mom. I've learned to be a bit kinder to myself. Right now I'm sleep
Yeah.
deprived and all that stuff, and
Mm.
right now I believe that small steps in the right direction consistently, that's what makes a difference. That's what
Absolutely.
instigate change that sticks. And also,
Exactly.
being a revert, changing my life 180 degrees, like
Yeah.
expecting myself to do it overnight, that was just like not realistic. I needed to get to it. It took me a couple of years to put the hijab on, and
Of course.
really get to that space in my spiritual journey, in my religious journey. And the
Exactly. Yeah.
same comes to, like, it actually applies to so many principles in life. You have to be
Yep.
kind to yourself. You need to learn how to love yourself, and then you need to take baby steps in the right direction and just give yourself grace. So this is
Absolutely.
so valuable. Thank you so much for this.
Thank you.
Where do you find yourself today? Like, what inspired you to start sharing your story on social media? I know you're a YouTuber. You share your story on YouTube as well. So what inspired you, and what keeps you going with sharing what you're going through in regards to PCOS and mental health?
So for me, when I first, like when I got Instagram, I started following a lot of like hijabis just for that inspiration, because seeing
Mm-hmm.
someone who looks like you get like, getting out there and getting it and just, smashing everything is so like, just like how I see you, it's just inspirational to me, because it's like that relatability, because you can relate to them, that aspect. But when as I was looking on social media, I didn't see anyone sort of sharing like anything about like PCOS or like even mental health, like someone talking openly, like a hijabi Muslima talking about that aspect. And what I did see, for example, was like people talking about PCOS, but sort of giving the wrong advice, like, oh, go on keto diet and do this juice diet and eat like less than 1,200 calories a day and do this. And I was like, oh, okay. Like I looked into that, and because I was literally on 1,200 in the beginning when I found out, because there wasn't enough education around it.
Yeah.
Even my doctor was just like, when I got the diagnosis, it was like a 5-minute thing. Oh, hi, yep, you've got cysts on your ovaries. Yep, you've got PCOS. Okay, good luck. Do you want to go on the birth control? And I was like, no, I don't want to do that, because it's going to mess me up more, over the
Mm-hmm.
long term, because it's like artificial hormones or whatever. Like, because I've done some research to that, and I was like, I don't want to put my body through that.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, you don't want to go through birth control. Okay, just, lose weight. Good luck. Bye. That was my diagnosis. And I was like, gee, thanks. Okay. So I was sort of like left on my own, and, I turned to the internet, and there as well, there was a lot of toxic advice, like I said, all these crazy diets which are not necessarily good for you in the long term. So I tried, I was like on these 1,200 calories a day, working out 5 days a week, and I was just dying. I
Yeah.
did that for like a week, and I was like, no, no, I'm not doing
Unsustainable.
this.
Yeah.
Very unsustainable. So my main motivation was literally, being, I guess, like being that person that I couldn't find when I was in that situation, because now I'm more educated. I've read so many books, I've done a lot of research. If one thing that my degree helped me in is like reading, those research articles and reading those scientific studies, which sort of equipped me. And I was like, okay, so you don't need to cut out all carbs, because carbs are sort of necessary for your body and energy. And, as long as they're good, complex carbs, obviously don't stuff your face with muffins 24/7. That's not good either. It's all about having that healthy balance. So you don't have to do this crazy drastic diets. And yeah, so it was just that. So the first aspect of me getting into like sharing my journey was accountability, because as someone, with not just having PCOS, but like having the mental health side of things as well, because when you're depressed, girl, you don't even want to get up and brush your teeth. Trust me, like you don't want to do anything. You literally just want to like lay there and be like, you'll just be like laying there and in your head, and you won't do anything. That's, unfortunately, I still have those days sometimes, and I let myself be, and I'm like, you know what, it's okay, it's fine, you've worked hard. You want to lay in bed all day, it's fine, take it, it's okay. Because another thing, it's okay not to be okay. You don't have to be 100% every single day. It's absolutely fine. And it all goes back to that self-compassion. Your body is like your best friend. So treat yourself like your best friend. If it's giving you 100%, like 5 days out of 7, it's okay to have that one lazy day. It's fine, because we have this notion like, successful people are always on the go, 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 go. But you need to take breaks as well sometimes. And it's okay. Like, you're not always going to be happy. Even as, for example, someone like you who hasn't been through depression, I'm sure you still have off days, right? Like, you're not 10 times out of 10 happy, right? Like, you still have those days where you just can't be asked, and it's fine. Like, it's okay. So now I'm waffling again. So yes, the thing was why.
I love that. I'll address what you just said, because with social media, and it's great at connecting and educational content and spreading awareness. Like, I've met so many amazing women on social media, and that's just been such a blessing. It's really helped me in my business and helped me in my personal growth. But also, social media can be toxic, especially if you're not in the right mind frame approaching it. You could look at other people's lives and compare yourself to they're doing so much, and especially like if you're not in the right mind frame, it might really, really affect you. And of course, like, with those content creators, it's not their responsibility to make you feel a certain way, but it happens. You look at them and be like, oh wow, they've been doing what I'm doing for only 1 year, and I've been doing this for 10 years, and they're so much more successful than I am. You know what I mean? Like, it's so easy to fall into that trap. And even like the other day, I was talking over voice messages with my friend in Russia, and she mentions like, oh, Veronika, like, you're so put together all of the time. You are always dressed nicely. You have your beautiful different hijabs. You're creating so much content, and like it's so good and like good for you. But it's just like, wow. But I know that I get dressed up once a week. I put my makeup on once a week. I batch my content in one day.
Oh wow.
And then the rest of the week, I wear hoodies and track pants, no makeup, mum bun, and I am just rolling with life that way. But for the outsiders who only see the 1% of my life that I share online, they think that I'm always put together, that I'm always happy, that I'm always bubbly and high energy. I am high energy on that one day. And I literally call it my high energy content day. And but people don't know that. But this is my process. This is what works for me. It's easier for me to gather up all of my energy and put it all into my content that one day, maybe 2 days a week. And the rest of the week, I am just going with the flow. I'm a mom. I bake. I work, but I work quietly on my laptop and doing, things that don't require too much energy. I might, watch an episode or two. But for the people on the outside, they don't see that. They literally think that I am this Energizer bunny but which I'm not.
Superwoman.
Yeah, and they think like I'm doing it, but yes,
Yeah.
I'm doing a lot. I'm doing a lot with my
Yeah.
time, but I also have a mom who is helping me. I have my in-laws who are helping me.
Mm,
My kids are always well looked after, and you know what I mean? But this is not, it's not
absolutely.
visible on social media. And like sometimes people will start comparing their life to people
Mm,
on the internet, and like the
exactly.
perception is even skewed because you don't see their real life. Social
Of
media
course,
is a
yeah.
highlight reel, but it's always refreshing. Like that's why I'm trying to kind of break it up and be very transparent in what I
Yeah.
do, just because I'm like, I don't want to give people that impression that I am like this
All the
24/7.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's impossible,
Absolutely.
it's unsustainable, like but yeah, it's social media is
Definitely.
fascinating. And you can see how, like, that's why I always tell people, stay in your lane. I know it's
Mm,
hard, I know it's hard because the temptation is always there, it's always
of
easy. But
course.
like, if you're scrolling and my content makes you feel bad, mute me, unfollow me.
Mm, mm,
Really focus on yourself. Like, stay in your lane. If somebody's content on social media is not making you feel your best, mute it
mm,
for a while. You can come back to it.
absolutely.
It's not personal, but you have to protect your
Yourself.
energy. Yeah. And and I always, like, because we are in our heads, like, and even like with depression, like you say, you lie down in your bed and you are in your head. um
Yep.
how did you break out of that, that cycle? Like, how, like, I can imagine that you start, because you, like, we've talked off camera about it, that you're into personal development and all of that stuff. Like, you really have to be mindful and like breaking down the negative thought patterns that you have.
Yes.
How did you go about it? Do you have like exercises, or like how did you physically, like, physically, I mean, like, how did you replace your, or
Mm.
break your, like, that negative thought pattern?
Okay, so first things first, I still struggle with it. So it's not like I'm 100% perfect and I'm cured, it's like a lifelong
we
thing,
Yeah, we all do,
right?
like, honestly, like,
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
it's not different, like, thoughts. Sorry, I've
Yeah.
interrupted you, but like, it,
No, no, no.
when you, it's we sometimes, it's like really natural for us to kind of think more negatively than positively. I don't know, it's just a
Yes.
human condition. That's
Oh
why
my God,
it
yes.
takes a lot of work to
Yeah.
literally get out of that. Or when you find yourself in that space, it literally takes almost talking to yourself. Okay,
Yeah.
that doesn't work. Let's flip
Yeah.
the switch. Let's reframe. But it takes mindfulness. Naturally, we'll fall into the negative patterns a lot
Negative.
easier, and the
Yeah.
positive thinking kind of takes a lot more work. Like, that's just the reality of
Yeah.
things. Yeah, carry on.
Absolutely. It's so interesting that you said that because it just reminded me of something. So in the beginning of, like, when my mental health was like when I was like at my lowest, I got CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy,
Hmm.
which is like, sort of like counseling.
Hmm.
And then my therapist basically said to me, he was like, the human brain is literally designed to look at the negative and sort of make it seem bigger than it is. And it's so interesting because you literally said that, like, we focus on the negative, and it's like an evolution, like, fact, like, to
Hmm.
keep ourselves protected, because your brain has one job, is to make sure your survival, right?
Makes so much
So
sense.
so your brain will literally, like, look at the most negative thing in a situation and fixate on that and just make you overthink about it, because it's just how we're programmed. And now, just because we're programmed a certain way doesn't mean it has to be like that.
Hmm.
um and that's where, how you said, like, mindfulness was like one of the biggest things that helped me
Hmm.
get out of that. Like, the first thing was literally speaking to a professional as well. So, like, that's number one, if you can, or even speaking to someone who's well versed within, mental health, who knows about it. Like, it can be a friend, it can be your, family, whoever, if you can't, get therapy. So that was
Hmm.
like the first thing, was like my therapist sort of, not that, again, they don't, nobody can fully cure you. It's not like it's just you're gonna go to therapy and the next day you're gonna be fine and you're never gonna get depression again. It's not like that. But they will sort of like show you a way, you know, they'll sort of like kind of like a coach or like a guide, and they'll point you to the, you know, right direction. So my therapist basically said, you know, the human brain has like, I don't know, I think 50,000 thoughts, and out of that it was like majority of them are negative, only 10,000 or something, and don't quote me on this, but I don't know the exact same figure, but it was like 50,000 thoughts per day that your brain gets, and only about 10,000 of them are positive. So most of your thoughts in your brain are like negative or something, like it's, you know, about some danger, about anything, right? Like how something can go wrong. That's literally in your brain, subconscious, like you don't even know it, and it's going on in there. And he said, but the ones that you do know about, for example, if it's to do with, for me, you know, I used to get really bad panic attacks and anxiety. Like I still suffer from a lot of anxiety, and you're just sitting there and it'll just hit you and you'll start like having heart palpitations and you'll start sweating, and it's really bad, like when you have an anxiety attack. And in that moment your thoughts are going through your brain, like of how something, like everything's going to go wrong and this and that. And in that moment, those thoughts you have to catch. So you have to be mindful, and you have to tell yourself, okay, so what? Okay, if this happens, then so what? If this happens, then so, like you have to keep asking yourself until there's literally nothing to worry about. One thing is that. And the second thing that really helps is, let's say again, if something's going wrong, think of it as a solution now. So let's say now your mind's just giving you problems and the bad scenarios. Focus on what you can do to, so let's say if this does happen, right, like this bad thing that you're thinking is going to happen, if it does happen, what are some steps you can take to solve it or mitigate it or to come out of it? That will help your brain focus from the problem to the solution, and in turn it just makes you more mindful. So that was a game changer for me.
This is gold.
Honestly.
This is so valuable. Oh my gosh. I'm so happy with this interview. Honestly, this is really, really, really valuable. And it definitely, anxiety. I've experienced a bit of anxiety after becoming a mom, just because I have, like, everyone has a desire to live, but now I'm like, I have to stay alive for my kids. And that puts so much pressure. Like, I don't ever want to leave the house. Like, honestly, I don't want to, I don't want to leave the house. I love the house. I don't want to drive. I don't want to drive my kids, like, because I'm like,
it's that fear and anxiety.
Yeah. And it really, like, before becoming a mom, I was fine. And even when I was pregnant with my first child, I was like driving around and doing things, and I was kind of like, but once I became a mom, there was like a big shift. And I'm like, I often catch myself like worrying about the problems that are not even there and that might never even be there. And so like, once again, mindfulness, just being like, okay, I'm having this thought, I'm having this fear about my son in 20 years, just, you know, struggling with, you know what I mean? Like something super irrational. And I'll be like, okay, my son is here. He's not even 3 years old. Why am I worrying about this thing that might never happen? And I just like, I literally have to be like, I talk to myself. I'll be like, you know what, Veronika, this is not good. This is not healthy. This is not serving you. Let's flip the switch and let's focus on a little cute bubbly toddler. Let's go play with some kids instead, rather than just worrying about the problems that are not even there. But like you said, if I didn't try to catch it in the moment, you could easily just spiral down, and then I cry, and then I don't even know why I'm crying, and I'm sad, and then my mood goes down the drain for and it's like, I totally get what you mean, and I've definitely experienced that since becoming a mom. It's human brain is fascinating.
That's the thing. If you tell someone else, they'll just be like, no, like to them it will be irrational, but to you it's so real. And that's the crazy thing, right? Because you're like, no, but like, what if this, because you're overthinking as well. But another thing is also, they say like 98% of the things you overthink and worry about, they never happen. So
Exactly.
that's another thing to sort of like just calm yourself down, like it's
Yeah.
okay. And God forbid, okay, even if it does, okay,
Mm-hmm.
what can I do then to deal with it? Is there anything I
Yeah.
can do? Is it in my control? If yes, good. That means you can do
Mm-hmm.
something to help it. If not, then it's not in your control. You leave it to God. And that's how I just look at things
Yeah.
now. I'm just like,
Yeah.
okay.
Say, yeah, yeah, yeah. I also think, yeah, like me really heavily relying on my faith. I mean, like,
Yes,
whatever is going to happen is going to happen. I just need to trust God. I need to trust Allah and just go with the flow.
exactly.
And like realizing that,
Absolutely.
that nothing happens without His will, and just kind of like it helped me
Yeah.
calm down a little bit. And
Yeah.
but like we, you know, the whole overarching thing of this interview, of this conversation, is the fact that it takes work. Like it takes
Yes.
mindfulness, it takes work, it takes desire to get better.
You have to want it. You know, they say you don't change until you're tired of your own crap.
Yeah.
Sorry if like it's an indecent word, but
No, no, no,
literally
no.
like
I welcome it on my channel. I
okay.
welcome it because this is real life. This is the truth. This
Yeah,
is
like
what every single one of us goes through, even though, you
yes.
know, like I
Yeah.
honestly don't care what
Yeah.
people have to say.
So literally like but it is what it is, isn't it? Like anybody, the thing is like if you're not ready mentally to make that shift to better yourself, it and whether it's for your mental health, whether it's for your physical health, whether it's for whatever, for your career, for your professional life, anything, someone can sit there and lecture you all day, right? Oh, you know, Saba, you should do this, or Veronika,
Hmm.
no, you should do this and this and this and this, and they can be saying the right things, but
Yeah.
until you're not ready to take that in, and until you're not tired of your own, crap, you're not going to do it. And that was the thing with me, like I had to hit the lowest of the low, and like literally, because at the end of the day, you know what's going to help you, right? Like,
Yeah.
even if you have depression, even if you have any mental illness, whatever it is, you know that going to the gym, because for me, literally, my doctor, obviously, when I went to see him for depression as well, he was like, yep, prescribing me with, antidepressants. And I was like, that's not the first thing I want to do. I want to see if I can help it naturally, because I personally have this thing that I don't want to have to rely on medication. If
Hmm.
it's of course, if it's something serious like a heart disease and you need to take medication, then take it. But if
Yeah.
it's something that you can help with, lifestyle changes, mindset changes,
Hmm.
then why not do that first? And if it nothing absolutely works, then you can take the next step, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So that was sort of my mindset behind it. And then he said, okay, either you take the antidepressants, or you know what you can do? Work out half an hour every day. It releases the same chemicals that this antidepressant is going to release in your brain. And I was like, yeah, I'll choose that, staying active. So that's the thing, like, what's good for you. It's
Hmm.
about getting out of your own way and fighting. Like, whether you have depression or not, we all struggle with self-discipline, whether
Yeah.
you have this or not. It's tough. It's not easy. Why? Because your brain is designed to run away from discomfort. It's a
Yeah.
survival mechanism thing.
Hmm.
Anything that's going to make you feel uncomfortable, your brain doesn't want to do it, and you'll procrastinate and you're going to put it off. But then in the end, you feel even worse, because then
Yeah.
you haven't achieved anything, you haven't done anything, and you physically don't feel good. And the thing is, growth happens in, like, outside of your comfort zone.
It
So
does.
you're kind of like going against these, like, thousands of years of evolution. But because your brain, it will keep you in that comfort zone, because it will say
Yeah.
no, like, it's going to
Hmm.
be uncomfortable if you go to the gym. Oh, it's cold. It's like, because in the UK, especially, the weather, it's horrible. Like, it's especially around this time, it's raining, it's getting dark quickly, so it's like very miserable gray weather. So it's like, yeah, it's cold outside, it's raining, forget it, don't go to the gym, just stay home. But, like, it's like you have to, like, literally, like, fight. And the more you do it, though, it's like a muscle. Your brain's a muscle, isn't it? The
Yeah.
more you do it, you build those habits and you build those new neural pathways in your brain, and it
Hmm.
gets stronger and stronger and stronger over time. But that's why it's all about baby steps. Don't go into the gym, because I talk about the gym a lot, because that's the only thing that helps with my mental
Yeah.
health, literally. um don't go in expecting to go hit the gym 6 days a week, every single week. Because as
Hmm.
women as well, we have our menstrual cycle, which is something I learned about, as in my research with PCOS. So, like, the first day of your cycle and the second is, like, the hardest, because you just get your period. And the first for sort of 2 weeks are like you're good. and the last week leading up to your period is like you don't have a lot of energy, and you have those PMS symptoms. So it's about knowing that. So know all those things. And if I expected myself to go to the gym six days a week regardless, it's not going to work, because I'll be consistent towards the beginning. When it's leading towards the end of my cycle, I'm going to lose that motivation. And in that, it takes mindfulness, I suppose, and just knowing your body as well. In that time, if I'm like, gosh, like, why am I not going 6 days a week? Then what happens? You kind of like put yourself down, and then all that progress you made, you were doing good. It's all about adjusting and taking those baby steps. Again, self-compassion. It's all about just being your best friend, really, and taking it easy.
Yeah, this interview is a gold mine, honestly. I totally
Oh,
agree.
God.
I've actually like, I really like that you mentioned the cycle, because about 2 years ago, I stumbled upon a podcast, of a like successful entrepreneur, and she was talking about how she works with her cycle, and like she schedules her work around her cycle. And that's what I started doing as well. And it works. Like I make sure I, get, all of the, high energy creative juices, all of that kind of work done in the first 2 weeks and the first 3 weeks. And then that last week, I make sure I give myself space without feeling stressed out, so I can just like take a break and like let my body do the thing it needs to do.
Exactly. And just for the people like who are listening who don't know, literally like the first 2 weeks of your cycle is called the follicular phase. So the first week is obviously when you're on your period, and then after that, when your period ends, that's like the gold, like that's the best time, because you're like feeling your best, and you're just in the best of moods, and you have high energy. And obviously those are first 2 weeks, follicular phase, and the last 2 weeks are called the luteal phase, which is basically you're coming towards now the end of that energy thing, and your body's again preparing itself for your period. And that's when just take it easy. And literally it's such a big game changer, especially again as being a woman, and then having this condition as well, which is very in tune with your hormones and your cycle and everything. Just knowing it now, it makes sense. I'm like, okay. And sometimes I would, like, before, when I wasn't aware of this, I would go to the gym a week before my period, and I wouldn't be able to do the same weights I was doing previously without like I was like, I was pulling more weight than this like last week, like what happened? But it's because your body's like really struggling, and it's about taking it easy and at that point. But yeah, it's fascinating. It's really cool.
That's so cool. I am really happy with all the content we ended up with. It was really deep, it was very informative, it was full of practical advice, which I'm so grateful for. Honestly, thank you so much. Before we wrap up this interview, you need to tell people where they can find you: Instagram, YouTube, like just give it all.
Sure. So Instagram, it's literally Saba Fitness Beauty, and it's the same on YouTube as well, Saba Fitness Beauty. TikTok and Twitter I don't really use much, so literally Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, Saba Fitness Beauty, and that's it. You'll find me there. And yeah.
That's great. I will also make sure to link all of the Saba's links in the description below to make it easy for you to find her, because she's a gem. Honestly, I'm really glad we've connected over a year ago now, and I'm really glad we've had this conversation and hung out. I really appreciate it. We're so on the same page, and honestly, I wish you all the best. I'm going to continue cheering you on and doing amazing things. I want to see your YouTube channel grow. I want to see you like connecting with so many women and helping so many women with just sharing your own life, because I think it's so important. You never know who you might help with your content, and like that's why I do what I do, and I know that's why you show up as well. So that's absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for your time. You have a good night, because it's really late over there now.
It's like 10 o'clock. It's fine.
I go to bed at 9 because I'm a mom.
Oh my God.
I need my sleep.
I was listening to your video when you were talking about, starting your brand, and you were like, yeah, the day of the launch, we stayed up until midnight. And I was like, that's not that late. But you were like, yeah. For me, that's late, because I don't stay up till that late. But yeah. So
1 second. Okay, come, baby. Yeah, I'm almost done. I'm just gonna say bye-bye to Saba and then I'm gonna come, okay? I'm almost done, baby. Yep. That's a microphone. Yeah.
Aw.
That's a connector. Connector. No. It's okay. Can Mama wrap up the interview, okay? That's a camera.
He's so cute. He sounds so cute. Aw.
He's my daddy. That's a ring light. Yeah.
He's gonna be
Okay,
your
Mama is
future.
coming.
He's gonna be your future assistant. Watch. He's gonna be like helping you with everything when he grows up. Teach him young.
What is this? What is this? And then he asks it in Russian.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, he speaks 3 languages.
So Russian, English, and Turkish.
Yeah, and Turkish.
Oh, that's amazing. Oh, the only word I know in Turkish is like ayvala, and kardeşim.
Oh, kardeşim, yeah. Means my brother.
That's from Ertuğrul because I've been to
Oh,
Ertuğrul.
yeah.
And I think in Turkish it's like, is it dobre? I don't know. Is it dobre bine? I think. Is it bine or dobre? I don't know. One of those. No, that might be Polish, I think.
Yeah, that sounds a bit Polish, I think. That sounds a bit more
Yeah.
Slavic.
Yeah,
I have
yeah.
my Russian roots. I'm like, yeah, that's a bit Slavic.
But yeah, oh, that's amazing, mashallah. And yeah, thank you so much.
Wow.
You're amazing. You inspire me so much, and you know,
Likewise.
honestly, keep doing what you're doing. You know, I'm so excited as well, like for the new launch as well, for the.
It might be happening next week. So we're
That's
so
amazing.
close. We're just like finalizing the details. It's honestly
That's
like
amazing.
crunch time over here.
Oh,
We're
okay.
like,
Yeah,
but it's great.
Yeah.
I'm really proud of it, and I believe it's going to help so many women who like trying to start their
Absolutely.
active lifestyle, start their fitness journey, or just like maintain their fitness journey. So
Absolutely.
yeah, inshallah,
Yeah, but yeah.
the intention is there.
Inshallah. But yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you
for
so
having
much
me.
for your
It was
time.
amazing.
If you found value in this video, make sure you give me a thumbs up, comment below, let me know, share this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you later.